Laura then asked if there's going to be more than 10.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order. And who's going to do the roll call?
Deb Rush,
She's not here.
Georgiana Schuster,
Here?
Kim Fisher, Vicky Nicewander.
Here.
Ann Robin.
Okay, the next item is approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
And I'll second that move. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Okay, the next items, we've rearranged the program a little bit. The next items are the schedules and the timeline. No action is needed. Lynn, did you want to make a comment about the schedule?
Sure, we did. We have restructured the timeline for allocation process. The main concept was to give a little bit more time to agencies applying for funding and to start that process before the new year. So the goal is December 22. That creates, then we kind of go backwards in the timeline. We have to post the notice of funding availability 21 days prior to that. So you might see changes like that in the timeline. We also learned during our most recent contract process that while we set a deadline for June 17th for a whole bunch of compliance documents and completion of revisions, it was still very hard for agencies and for us to get things done. But we're going to try again with a similar timeline and just maybe emphasize, like, if this stuff isn't done, you won't get paid on time. Like that may help to, but I think it's just, there was so much to do that. So there is no change to that structure. There is also a question. We have tentative August meetings. We almost never have August meetings. And so after this meeting, y'all might want to chime in as to whether we should have an August meeting. We have an idea that it might be a good time to have a joint study session with the mental health board in the evening. And for the purpose of that to be to get some input from self-advocates, especially, and maybe other experts on what to fund in the next round, because we're going to need to bring you some priorities documents to consider quite soon. Anyway, that's it. Sorry.
So Lynn, before the end of today, will we have an idea whether there will be an August study session, or should we stay alert to emails?
Emails.
We will stay alert to emails. Okay.
Dr. Robin?
Yes.
So I don't know if this is a good time. So I actually have a work commitment on August 16th that I can't miss. So I won't be able to make it. I don't know if that will impact quorum or not. In the morning, I could make an evening.
Well, the study session would be in the evening, and it's no action. It's just a study. I mean, not just a study session. They're important, but there's no voting required.
Great. I was just saying for the morning, the tentative morning meeting, or do we not? have a
I
meeting?
think the tentative morning meeting is beyond tentative at this point. I don't know. At the end of this meeting, I think we can decide whether we need to have an August meeting.
I will be out of town next
Well,
month, so
We've got 2 out of 4 out of town, so we wouldn't have a quorum anyway.
That's
So,
true. I can join by Zoom, but I know that's not a,
You can.
yeah,
Yeah.
and would.
Okay.
okay,
Thank you. That's good info.
helpful. The next item is the acronyms and glossary. No action needed. Citizen input, public participation. Is there anyone that wants to come forward at this time? Okay, the next item.
See if anyone on the Zoom.
Is there anyone on Zoom for public participation?
Thank you.
Okay. So the next item is chairperson's comments. I feel like I'm leaning over here. This is my last meeting as your chairperson, and I want to thank everyone for your participation and support over this last 3 years, which have been difficult and interesting in so many ways. I actually think it might be 4 years, but I'm not sure. I don't know. Somebody will check. It's been a long time. I know I came on pre-COVID. And then we had all the COVID stuff, and now we're back together in person. So I just want to thank everyone for your participation and support. And I learned how to do e-signatures, which the next president will. I don't have a gavel to turn over, but the e-signature sign-on will be turned over. On a personal note, I just want to say my son died on Monday morning. That's why I have the Kleenex on the water here. It hasn't really hit me yet. His name was Miles. His name is Miles. And he was developmentally disabled. He lived to the age of 46. And he received services from some of the people in this room. From Developmental Services Center. And for the last 11 years, he was at the Swan Special Care Center, which does not receive any funding from the DD board, but is a very good institution in our community. We're very fortunate to have them there. We will be having a memorial for Miles probably the end of next week, but it hasn't been set yet. And we're going to do it at Swan to make it easier for the people there to attend. But thank goodness COVID restrictions are lifted. So friends and family that will want to attend and are able to will be invited to attend. So Lynn, do you want to make comments?
Sure. Thanks for your indulgence of the completely rearranged agenda. We hope that this will better support board discussion. And then also, if you were here earlier, you might have seen the fun clown show that I did before the meeting, trying to get the technology working. It seems to be working. There was one person on the Zoom who did not seem to have audio. Hopefully all of you on the Zoom can hear us now. That was a really important piece to us, just to make sure that folks can participate. There are folks here in the room too. If you're in the room, please sign in on the physical sign-in sheet, and those in the Zoom sign in the chat. Anyway, there's some interesting business on this agenda. I can make comments during or whatever, maybe other people will, but I wanted to share something with you that's not in the board packet and probably won't end up in the board packet just because of the timing of my own staff reports. You might know that I'm the president of our state trade association of mental health authorities of Illinois. In order to be the president, I had to stop being the chairperson of the association's DD committee. It was very hard to find anybody else who would take that on, but we got really lucky. A person who's about to retire, who has worked her entire life in the DD field, took over and has been so wonderful and smart and aggressive that at her direction, we wrote a very assertive letter to the new director of the division of DD, asking for a written response about their plan to address the problems that are not just at Choate or Choate, whatever it is. We don't know how to pronounce it. But apparently all of the SODCs and I don't know, you probably saw we made ProPublica and we were in the news every day last week or 2 weeks ago. So that letter has already been sent to the director and it's in the association's newsletter. If you want to see it, it's really assertive. I love working with this lady and she's about to retire. So maybe somebody else will catch fire like that. I just wanted to tell you all because I know that we also are concerned and have been tuning into that bad news. So anyway, that's it. There's a lot to get to in this meeting, including some fun presentations.
Approval of the board meeting minutes from last month. We need a motion.
I'll move to approve the meeting minutes from last month.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the meeting minutes from last month are approved. How about the vendor invoice list? Pages 21 to 24. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve the vendor expense list.
I'll second.
Any discussion about the vendor invoice list?
Context for the additional.
I have a question from our executive director. Do I want some context? Sure, Lynn, let's have some context.
Chris Wilson, would you provide some context for the additional detail?
Thank you for volunteering me for that. Yes, so in addition to the vendor invoice list, there is a brand new report called the Account Detail History. This report has stemmed from the Mental Health Board has had several questions the last couple meetings, which had the vendor invoice list have more detail, their questions probably would have been answered. So as I continue to explore the capabilities of Champaign County's new ERP system, I'm discovering new reports that may provide more detail. So the account detail history report is just another way of looking at the same information that's provided in the vendor invoice list. This is broken out by the expense account that each item is charged to, as opposed to the listing per vendor.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you for that extra work. Okay, I think this involves money, so we have to do a roll call. Am I right, Stephanie, or can we just up and down it? It's just,
You're not deciding to spend.
we're not deciding to spend it, it's already spent.
We decided a while ago.
Right, it's already spent money.
Water over the dam, we just have to say goodbye, water. Okay,
Okay.
so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the vendors invoice list is recognized and approved. Staff reports, pages 25 to 44, because there's so much excellent staff activity to report. Again, I just want to say thank you to the staff for doing these reports. I know you're busy and doing these reports may be not the first item on your agenda list every morning to do, but it is very helpful for the board members and possibly other people in the public to see. And it's always interesting to me to see all the variety of things that people are doing, and I want to thank you for that. Any other comments?
This is Kim. I love the new placement of the staff reports earlier. I just because sometimes at the, you read all the other stuff and at the end, you're just like,
Yeah, and they're
and I do read it, but not, I think I definitely read it more thoroughly this time. So I would love for it to stay in this place, the agenda. So it was great. And especially Chandra, your report around the campus community compact, there was an accessible technology discussion. So I was going to reach out to you to learn more about that. So, but everybody's reports were great. So thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for the staff reports. New business, we have the UIUC Life Home Tour and Resources, page 45. Is there someone wanting to speak to that?
They're not in the Zoom yet,
They're not in the Zoom yet.
but which could mean they're using the wrong link, but I might email them to make sure. But did you want to ask about the year-to-date actual finance report in Chris's staff report?
Yeah, I think Chris answered the question.
Oh, okay, great,
Yeah.
great, thank you. Because he's also, because this, Chris's staff report uses a new format. Yeah, it's got, I'm speaking for you, Chris. I'm just gonna do it because you told me what it is. He's provided year-to-date actual financial statements for each of the 3 funds and then June only statements. And, you know, one of the things that I want to point out is that some revenues are not present and there are certain revenues and some expenses that don't occur every month. So I don't get too scared about what half a year looks like because there will be more money coming in. The money tends to come in the second half of the year anyway. So I don't even get scared in May when we're looking at no revenue. But anyway, we thought this might be a helpful report for y'all to have or for the public. So Chris's idea, not mine.
So I'm not very familiar with like how to read these. So I was reading it and I had a hard time it's clear. It's just, I don't know how to read these things. So I'm wondering if I can make an appointment to just have you can walk me through this is what this means. This is what this means.
Maybe you and I can do that together because I
Yeah.
had the same struggle with it.
And
Yeah.
that's not because I can tell what these things are. I just need training on how to read the reports. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so the UIUC Life Home Tour person is not on the Zoom at this time. How about the evaluation capacity building project? In person.
Hi, can you hear me? Happy hump day, everybody. I don't want my back to anybody, so I'll pretend like I'm Oprah Winfrey or somebody. Phil Donahue. Oh, sorry. Phil Donahue. All right, I will turn this way so I'm not having my back to anybody. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. So I am part of the Family Resiliency Center. I direct the Family Resiliency Center. I'm Jacinda Deriotis, and my team is the evaluation team for the empowerment evaluation that we're conducting for the next 2 years. And so I thought it would be great to come and give some preliminary findings that we've had from our needs assessment that we've started. So a needs assessment is a process. It's not just a one-time, one interview or one survey. So it's going to be continuing. But I wanted to give you some feedback as to what we've heard from board members and others that we've interviewed so far. And also staff when we had a listening session with them as well. So some of the feedback that we have received is that including staff more in the data collection and understanding what their needs are as it relates to evaluation capacity building. So we are developing some ideas as to how to collect some voice from staff members as well to understand their needs as it relates to evaluation capacity building, so that it's not top down from what we think everyone needs, but what actually agencies and staff are saying that they need. So that's the process that we're going through right now. Another learning that we had and finding was board members wanted to have more interaction with the evaluators to find out more real-time progress, what's going on. Apparently in the past, maybe hearing from the evaluators once a year, maybe twice a year was not sufficient. So that's what I'm here for. So you'll see more of me over time. And then you can let me know if you want me to still be that present, right? It's a work in progress. So we think that having this feedback loop is very important, right? To provide information so you know who we are, we're working together. We take a very participatory approach to evaluation and capacity building. And so those were two main findings. Another is having more information from the board as to why evaluation is important and why we're engaging in this capacity building. And so I think what may, over time, statements may have been made as to why this is important, and then that may have been forgotten or new people have come on. And so really the importance of the evaluation capacity building is to have agencies who know such great work is going on. And it's really helping to create that narrative and say that narrative of the great work that is going on, and having that in-house. So it doesn't have to be outsourced all the time. And so that is a big why this is such important work. And some agencies may feel that they already have the capacity built up and others may not. And so it might feel to some like, well, we already have this, but others might not. And so we want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of everybody. And also leveraging those who have been doing it well, feel very comfortable with it, have built their capacity, and learning from them and having them as a resource also for others. So really creating this, I would say, a community of practice is what we're thinking about. And so I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I also want everyone to know that I'm accessible. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, if you're like, yay, I love evaluation, I want to be part of like co-facilitating and, you know, be part of the fabulous evaluation party, we're open to that. So, and not burdening, but also allowing others to say what their interests is and how invested they want to be in this process. So I don't know if we want to open it up to any questions or reserve those to after.
I have a question. I'm Georgiana, and I'm wondering if you're right now in the process of talking to the agencies individually?
So funny you should ask that. So one of the emergent ideas that came out of interviews with board members and others in leadership was conducting a group level assessment of having agencies give input in a collective fashion that includes both individual input as well as collectively analyzing it together. It's a participatory way of collecting information, and it's one of the ways that we're considering because you can get a lot of information from a lot of individuals and they're helping to interpret it. So it's not an outsider just interpreting it. So the long and short of it is yes, we will get their individual input and we'll also get the collective wisdom of everyone helping to interpret the information that's coming through as well. Is that helpful?
Yes.
I have a question for you. Who ultimately do you think, in your perception, is the beneficiary of all this information? Is it for the people that are served? Is it for the agencies? Is it for us? You know, where is the intent?
So I would say both and. So building the capacity of agencies to evaluate themselves, and I mean evaluating to outcomes. We know that a lot's being done with monitoring and outputs, what services are being provided, how many people are being served and so forth, and then moving that to saying, what are the needles that are being moved and what needles might not be moved and how can those be moved in new ways. And so that's what evaluation is. So it takes monitoring and assessment and takes it to the next level of what's working for whom and in what context. And so by building that capacity within agencies to do that themselves, it keeps their finger on the pulse even more of getting to those outcomes, which might take a long time to see. But so the agency itself will benefit by having that capacity built within themselves. And then ultimately by knowing what's working for whom in what contexts helps who they're providing services to as well. Because they can see where things working well, where things that can be improved, where things that might need to be sunsetted, these types of things. And that's what evaluation does. And lastly, it will benefit the board because it's understanding what are realistic expectations and how is progress being made. And sometimes that is through process, sometimes that's through outcomes. And by having agencies talk in their narratives about all of these aspects, it will help the board too, to learn more and understand more about what are realistic expectations, as well as what are some goals that you might want to set for yourselves as well in helping agencies meet those outcome needs.
Just one more question on that. How many hours or how do you estimate the time commitment for each agency that they put into this evaluation process? I mean, it's fairly complex, it looks like. Just wanted to know that.
Right. So as noted in the proposal as well, is not every agency is going to need the same amount of capacity building. And so as we wrote it in there, we're doing this needs and readiness assessment to say who's at which levels, what are their needs, how can we tailor what we're going to be providing to different agencies. And then there'll be an application process is what we put into the proposal, but obviously that can evolve based on the needs. Where agencies might say, I need more intensive training or more intensive technical assistance or supports, and they can apply for that. And then up to 3 would have that additional hands-on intensive assistance as they identify, and as also the board might identify as well. So I can't give you a hard and fast this number of hours and this, because it really has to do with what are the emergent needs of the agencies and which of the agencies are willing and have the need to have that intensive assistance, which sounds like, oh, that's additional time. But the hope is that by having that time and capacity built up front, then it makes things a lot easier, the reporting, the outcomes and so forth over the long haul. So that's what we want to emphasize as well. But I understand everyone's time is strapped. You're working lots of hours and trying to do so much on such a small amount of staff and budget.
So, hi, I'm Kim Fisher. So, I might have missed it, but are you collecting data from consumers of the services? So people with lived experiences, especially as it talks to like the outcomes. And if not, is there a plan to maybe like include them? I might have
So
missed it.
that's part of the capacity building, is that we're here to help equip and empower agencies to be able to collect those data, because those are their clients. So we would be a hands removed from actually collecting those data from those who have been service provision, right? That goes into the reporting and so forth. So we would equip agencies to be able to collect that type of information, depending on the type of information that they would want to help to evaluate their outcomes. Does that help?
Thank you for that excellent presentation, and thank you for being here in person. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I'll
And-
be here afterwards if anyone has more questions.
And we'll look forward to more conversations in the future. Thank you. Okay, the first presentation, UIUC Life Home Tour and Resources, is now available on Zoom.
Hi, you all should be able to share your screen if you, because I think we're doing a virtual tour. Let me see if I can.
Can you hear us? Hi.
We see you and we can hear you. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure. So I'll be sharing my screen right now. Just wanted to be sure if can you see our screen? Okay, so it's a pleasure meeting you. Can I continue or do you need some time?
We're just talking, I have you on the maximum volume.
Okay, all right. So my name is Samuel Olatunji. I'm a postdoctoral researcher at the Champaign Family Life Home. I have the pleasure with me today to introduce my Assistant Director of Research at Life Home here. And
hi, my name is Harshal Mahajan. I serve as the Assistant Director of Research for the Life Home, and I am also a research assistant professor in the University of Illinois on Champaign. So thank you for having us here. We can just quickly go over some of the high points about our facility and the research that we do and the work that we do, and then we'll go to the virtual tour real quick.
okay,
Thank you.
so I'll just jump right in. So today we're giving you a brief overview of the McCartney Family Life Home. And this is a research center focused on innovations in home environment. So it's built as a typical home, as you see a picture of the facade there. And inside the home, we have a typical 2-bedroom facility. with a living area, a bedroom area, a kitchen, and everything you expect in a typical home, such that we're able to simulate what it means to use technology to support improvements in quality of life. So we have different facilities there, as you see, just some of the technologies we have, like human computer interfaces, smart appliances, robotics, and in-home house sensors. So we'll just give a brief overview of that as we move along. The facility layout, as you see, is on the right here. We have the home simulation space, as you see in orange, where we have a typical home environment where we can get to test the technologies in a realistic setting, and also different meeting spaces. And the aim of this is to ensure that we can continue with realistic research, and also to be able to educate as well as meet the community. So these are our core aims at the Life Home, which is the mission to do research, educate, and engage the community as much as we can. And that's the blend we have here in the home simulation space for research, collaborative meeting spaces as well. Just giving a quick view of the Life Home, we have the living area, which you saw in the map. So we have a kitchen area, living area, the bedroom, and some of the robots as well, which you would see in the virtual tour. And other spaces, like in the kitchen area, we have other smart technologies like a smart fridge, a smart range. These are technologies that are all interconnected through Internet of Things, so you can get to communicate with these devices via voice, whether in person, as you see in the picture, or even remotely. So all of these devices are all interconnected. And then we also have some other spaces like that are flexible. Like this space was initially a bedroom, but we reconfigured it to be like a den in the house where you could have some research going on, and the bedroom as well, where you could simulate research that could improve quality of our sleep, and then check other parameters or devices or technologies that can support individuals in their bedroom. And as well, we talked about collaborative spaces. So we have researchers and community members and even industry partners come and have their meetings in these collaborative areas, and even do like prototype developments. This is our health tech lab as an example, where we have both students and other researchers come and brainstorm on ideas and techniques of how to improve on research. So we'll just give a brief highlight of some of the research projects going on, and I'll hand over to my Assistant Director of Research to talk about them.
So as Samuel mentioned, we are a smart home research center, and just a little bit background on this. So the acronym LIFE here stands for Living in Interactive Future Environments. So that's what you see in the bottom of the screen here. So we really are a smart home research center that would like to test out technologies that are available today that we can buy off the shelf, and also provide infrastructure to test technologies that would come up, say, 10 years down the line. So researchers in the university or companies, if they would like to test out their technologies, we would be a place where they'll bring those technologies. And as a research center, we are set up as a human factors lab. So that we have an observation area, which is like a one-way glass, and we'll take a look at all of these in the virtual tour, but just give you an overview. So this observation area kind of looks into the different spaces, and it helps us to perform human factors evaluation of, say, a phone app or maybe a robot. And the goal really is to see how we can optimize robots, how we can optimize apps to the user. And the user here could be people who are older, people with disabilities, or people of all ages. So we are open to different populations and different type of technologies. So yeah, just want to give a very brief overview on few of the activities that we have completed or that are ongoing. One of them is this fireplace project. So these are some of the type of work that we do. So this fireplace manufacturer approached us, and they wanted to test out their fireplace and want to see does having a fireplace reduce stress in people. and they really wanted to do like a very controlled evaluation of that. So one of our faculty members here designed a very controlled protocol around this idea. So people, when they came into the research lab, they did not know that the fireplace was being tested. They thought a computer game was being tested. So the fireplace was randomly turned on and off, and eventually, when they analyzed the data, they found that whenever the fireplace was on, people actually felt less calm, less stressful, and they had some effects of the fireplace being on and off. So we also do similar kind of contract research with robots. So on the right, you will see one of our robots called Stretch. Right now, that robot is being used as essentially a guide, an automated guide that will guide people around a facility. So let's say a person who has visual impairment, they don't know a layout of a hospital or a building. This kind of robot could be put into this facility, and it will take them around the facility to orient them, or to even just navigate them from point A to point B. And the person could even give a voice command to the robot, "Hey, Stretch, take me to the doctor's office," and it will just plan the route and then take the person there automatically. And then, similar other things, we are also using the same robot Stretch to do some like personal assistive task. So let's say we can program Stretch to retrieve a bottle of medicine for us, or a bottle of water for us. Right now we are in the process of testing this robot in our smart home setting, as well as and eventually we'll move it into like an assisted living life plan community facility here in Urbana Champaign. The goal is really try to see how different people with physical impairments or cognitive impairment can derive benefit from the robot. So those are some of the projects, and then we also do community outreach events. So we have several visitors. Everything from international students who are learning about disability services in the US, and just robots in the US. From them to people from companies and faculty members to community members who just want to learn about smart technology. So we have several kinds of visitors that come for open houses that we arrange. And then we also have like very focused research meetings and some participatory design activities with different groups. So this is just a very, very high level overview, and now we are ready for the virtual tour, and we'll be happy to answer any questions after this, or as we show some technologies as part of the tour.
So right now, thank you, Sean. I'm switching the screen to the robot. So if you look at this last picture, there was you can see with the team standing here, visiting. So these people are visiting in person, but one of the team members could not visit that day for some reason. So we put the person on one of our robots, which is a telepresence robot. So the person is controlling the robot from his location remotely and can tour the place with us. So right now, what I'm doing is putting all of you on this robot through the robot's interface. So right now you're looking in through the eyes of the robots into the facility. And what I will do is just walk you around the facility so you get to see some of the spaces we talked about. So Harsha was just talking about the fireplace bedroom fireplace room where we had the study on effect of fireplaces on our health. So I'm moving into that space right now with the robot to see the space. I think the fire can also be on. Yeah. So this was a space that was reconfigured to be able to test this specific technology, which is a fireplace which is being improved on right now, to see how we could improve general wellness of people and the mood of people when they are in the home space. Moving out of that right now, sorry, and moving into the so this is the facility, sorry. And Hutchell talked about a one-way glass, a one-way mirror through which we can observe what's happening in the home area. So you can see this screen here, which is a one-way mirror trying to reflect what's happening in the bedroom, the living area. But behind this screen is the observation area where human factors experts can get to observe what's going on as interactions of people with robots, with smart home technology in the home, and get to understand how to improve these technologies and adapt them to meet diverse needs. We don't want to interrupt the interactions happening in the space. We want it to be as natural as possible. So even though we have cameras all around the room, you can see this small overhead cameras here. So we can get to observe it on the computer in the observation area. But through this one-way glass, we can also get to observe all that is happening in that space. So I'll just take a brief trip into the bedroom. Okay, so that's just a brief glimpse of the bedroom there that you saw earlier. So I'm now moving into the home area where you get to see more of the space. And this is the living area. That's one of our robots. It's social robots, small socially assistive robots that we can program to have conversations with people, support people who are going through social isolation. And this is also one of our smaller robots, the Jibo robot, which also performs a similar task. So I'm going into the kitchen area right now. And you probably can see through the robots, the stretch robots we just talked about. That is the stretch robot. Sometimes we are testing it in the facility to see how it can, the best way to like hand over items or pick up an object or open a drawer. So right now we're trying to see how best we can pick up a bottle here. So that's the stretch robot that you saw earlier in the presentation. And moving into the kitchen area, that is the smart kitchen that we have there. Just briefly, you may have seen, okay, the door is closed, but that will be the bathroom area where we can also have different research studies going on how to improve technology in the space there. So right here in the kitchen space, as I mentioned earlier, we can give different forms of commands to operate the different smart home technology devices we have in there. As an example, I can look at the fridge and say, let's put this on. Hey, Bixby. Hi, Bixby. So the fridge, for example, can listen and say, hi, Bixby, what's in the fridge? Okay, so I just gave a command through the robot to show what's in the fridge. And this is a view through the tablet of the robot seeing the content of the fridge. So through the robot, through the screen right now, you may not see well, but you probably see a bottle there. And this same command I did, I can do through another mobile device. It could be a phone or a tablet, even remotely from a different location. You could be in a grocery store, not remembering everything you need to buy, and you want to just check out what's happening in the fridge. You could do the same thing as well. You could also give commands to different items in the house, like different technologies, like the range as an example. You could say, maybe to turn on the range, you could say, hi, Alexa, turn on the range to 250 Fahrenheit. Okay. Hi, Alexa, turn on the range. Okay, so you probably can't see it well, but if on the table right here, we have an Alexa device. And it's one of the digital home devices we have that can respond to conversations as well. So I can give commands or instructions to the device here to turn on the range, to turn on the coffee machine, to turn on the dishwasher, or even to check if my range is on or off, or the microwave as well. So a lot of these technologies are available on the market right now. Oh, sorry. Okay, so a lot of the technologies are available on the market right now. We're trying to see how, when the community members come as well, we try to educate them on how they could use some of these devices to support their loved ones, especially those who have different forms of impairment, whether it's mobility impairment or any form of physical disability that's not allowing them to use some of that impairs them from using some of these devices. So that's just like a short tour of the space. I would have loved to show you more, but because of time, we would probably pause here to take some questions and any other comments that we have.
Thank you for that interesting presentation. Board questions?
I just have one question. This seems like strictly research right now. Are any of these inventions in use anywhere?
Yes, so most of the technologies that you see here, those are bought off the shelf, so they are available in market. So all the appliances in the kitchen, the smart appliances in the kitchen, the devices that you see on the tables, all of them are available for anybody to buy. So, and that was one of the reasons for us to have these technologies here, that we want to really showcase what are the capabilities of smart technologies that are currently available in market, and how we can really educate people about using them in their daily lives.
Hi, this is Kim Fisher. I was wondering if, so I was looking at some of the pictures you had of, in particular, the one picture of a person who like had a blindfold on to, I guess, mimic a blind person. So I was wondering if you actually have done, or what research you've done with people who are disabled, who have lived experiences and are exploring that. I'm assuming you have.
Yes, we've actually conducted some research with the prototype we have. It's a user needs assessment where we get to hear the perspective of the users themselves as they try out some of these prototypes. So with the wayfinding robot, we have a currently working prototype, and we've had users come in, try it out, and give us feedback on how we could improve on that. So we're currently in the process of writing another grant on getting more funding to continue that research based on the feedback that we have received from people. We also have
and these were blind individuals.
Yeah, blind individuals. Yeah, so not just this was a test when we're still trying out the development we have, but we had like the people themselves give feedback on how they would want to use the robot, and some of the perspective they gave is now feeding into the design of the robots, informing the improvements. And another example would be this project, the Stretch project. So we've had a need assessment phase. We're still currently in one right now. We still had a session yesterday where someone who is physically disabled has mobility impairments, came in, tried out the robots, interacted with the robots in person, and gave us like feedback on how we can improve on the robots. And this, as I said, informs the design of the robot such that when we eventually go to like Clark Lindsay community, Lifeline community, we have some improvement that have been given to us, improvement based on the feedback that we have received from people who have different forms of disability.
Oh, just can I follow up? Yeah, thank you. So this is great. Thank you for that information. So remote supports is something that's been researched quite a bit in our field of intellectual and developmental disabilities. And I know that in our field, we have a tremendous issue with having enough staff and support professionals to help people with developmental disabilities live in the community. And I think I would encourage you, I guess, just to look at the literature around remote supports, because this has been going on a lot in our field of IDD, and you might find some excellent collaborators in our community to do some community-based research to support people in our community with DD to live in the community with some of the technology potentially that you are utilizing.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Thank you.
I would agree with Kim on that, on all of that, actually. I'm very impressed with the work that you've done. We're very fortunate to have the University of Illinois in our community and have access to all of this information. I see a great future for it. Is it possible for us to get a copy of this PowerPoint and links to other information that you have on this project?
Yes, we'll be able to send this PowerPoint to you. And then just a couple slide down, we have our link to our website and an email address as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing the PowerPoint. Everything that we show in a public meeting has to be posted. So please send it to me and then I'll distribute it to the board members and post publicly.
Okay. We'll do that. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right,
Thank you for your presentation. Very interesting.
pleasure. All right. Bye.
Okay, the next item is the Special Initiatives Fund, pages 53 to 66, and this is a briefing memorandum. No action is needed. Is there any discussion from the board?
I'm assuming that this is, these are the guidelines for the incoming year's proposals. Am I correct in that? The starting of that?
Because this fund is under the authority of both boards, I have to start a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And because I want to start the application process a little bit earlier, I have to start even earlier. So really this is like, I updated some of the context and lightly updated the priorities. The theory behind the first priorities, which were approved last September, the prevailing theory was that we had some applications that were really important and could have, for programs that could have been really valuable, but they were agencies that either didn't meet all the requirements, couldn't, or wouldn't meet all the requirements. So I thought, well, the special fund is an opportunity to waive some requirements. So the theory was there's a provider that doesn't have an office in the county, doesn't want to, but was providing a lot of services to Champaign County residents. And they wanted some money for transportation. We could not do that. Even if the board wanted to, we could not. So waiving the residency requirement was one idea. It's kind of a box of different things we wanted to do but couldn't because of rules. So then it didn't work. No one applied for this fund. So that, those programs that had come around once and we couldn't take advantage of didn't come around again. So it's okay to use a whole different theory. I did write about the work that's been done in Ohio in the smart homes. I can share all of that with those guys. What I learned about that project is most of the value comes from consumer technology, often quite low cost. And one of the surprise findings shouldn't surprise us, but maybe surprised the researchers, was that the residents of the home did not miss having staff around all the time.
Shocker.
It kind of hurt my feelings, but so there could be some potential to go in a direction like that. But if we're going to shift the theory or even shift the processes, this is a great time to start talking about it. The mental health board will talk about it separately tonight. Whatever y'all say today or subsequent to this meeting, Kim and I will use as we revamp this and probably bring you another draft. Because we also need to get public input, which is a whole separate process. Anyway, so does that answer the?
I'm not on. Okay, sorry about that. So my idea on this, and this is just very, general at this point. I don't have anything specific to offer, but wondering if when writing these guidelines that we can include a little more direction on some outcomes that we might want. So I'm thinking about how do we, and this is probably more a Kim question, how do we gauge those outcomes? How do we count them? Because counting is the way we gather our information. So if we have we're requesting that each person being funded by a project through the DD board must have some degree of community inclusion based on their own interests, desires, gifts, talents, whatever those things are, that, how do we make that a part of that proposal process? So even though some of those things are happening by virtue of, just good services being done for them, we ought to be able to count them so that we can encourage ways of promoting that kind of inclusion long term.
The outcomes that are described in the priorities section, this is part of, I might change the title of the subsection from overarching considerations to best value, because as a unit of government, you have an obligation to purchase best values, but best values are very complicated. So if we put all our focus on outputs, like how many bridges are you going to build and how fast and how cheap, you can end up with a community full of bridges, which now increase vehicle traffic, decrease foot traffic, destroy wildlife, spend a lot of money on construction that is poor. So you have to have outcomes to balance against those countable outputs, and outcomes absolutely should be based on what the people are looking for when they engage in services. And that's very elusive, but it is the purpose of the outcomes project.
Yeah.
So we do try to put some clear language about that component of what constitutes a best value, but I think that also is elusive. So every year I'm trying to clarify, make the language better, get closer to what we really want, and I do need help. So thank you for mentioning that now, when we're trying to push the timelines a little closer. It is really on my mind, and I appreciate the input.
Yeah, I actually spent time on the Illinois Developmental Disabilities Council number of years there, and their proposal was, or their method was to put out a project, an RFP. This is what we want to have in the state of Illinois, and then agencies would apply to do that thing. This is certainly a different situation here in Champaign County because we want to support local providers. But, I also want us to think about making it better, not just doing the same all the time. How do we make it better?
So just to kind of on that point, just to clarify, so the overarching considerations are technically our outcomes. Those are the things we're working on. No, like eliminating disparities might be one outcome, or promoting inclusion and reducing stigma could be another outcome. But you don't call them outcomes. But the way I read this is all of those things are potential outcomes a program that we fund would be exploring. But maybe I read that wrong.
I mean, we could reorganize it in that way, but outcomes are a part of the overarching considerations. Every application is supposed to address every one of these. The two that seem to be hardest for all of us are, well, the disparities in access and care. That is like our long-term CLC project. That's very challenging still, but we have a structure, thanks to Chandra. So maybe that makes it easier for people to do that work in stages because it is structured. Promoting inclusion and reducing stigma, everyone speaks to that really well. Whether we could measure it, I don't know. But specific outcomes are also a requirement of every application. And the other thing that is really elusive is financial clarity. So the other one here, the budget and program connectedness. I mean, these are standard to all three funds. That it all kind of rests in in a budget narrative, which has a bunch of open-ended questions, but the expectations are that you'll explain every expense and every revenue and how it relates. These are the ways that the board can determine a best value with Champaign County taxpayer money. So, and then, we've got person-centered planning in there, but that's also, I think as with outcomes, that's hard. Everybody's got a model that maybe comes from another funder or another accreditor. And we have tried to keep these applications open to what people are already doing for other funders and accreditors, but it might not be a perfect match for what Champaign County Developmental Disabilities Board is looking for.
Thanks, Lynn. So I guess I have a question about the 4 priorities. So is there a downfall with having 4 priorities for this special fund? Is it better to have fewer priorities? Okay. I guess what do you all think? Or maybe the having 4 priorities allows agencies to kind of have more flexibility. I can't remember how many priorities we had in the last special fund initiative. Oh, it is the same exact one?
The priority categories are very mildly changed in this document, so you can kind of treat this as a bridge to where you're going. So that's a great question for y'all.
I think this is the beginning of the discussion, and people can send emails to Kim and Lynn with responses about this or ideas. And I think we'll be seeing this again. Am I right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. The next item is the election of officers, which is a required by the statute. So as I said, this is my last meeting as your president, board chair. I'm not sure the protocol. I was planning to, with apologies, continue this meeting to the end, but I'm willing to turn it over to the next person to run the rest of the meeting, and I'll just sit back.
I think that you serve until August.
Until the August meeting,
I believe so.
as you read that. Okay. That means I'm not turning over the signing thing until August.
That's right.
Lynn has to let me know when something's in my inbox to sign. It's pretty good. This electronic signature thing is excellent, actually. Okay, so open for, we have 2 positions. We have the secretary, who is also sort of the vice president, and we have the president. So open for nominations.
How do we do this? This is my first time doing this. Do we nominate one at a time?
Yeah, I think we'll do one at a time. Let's do president first.
All right, I would like to nominate Vicky Niswander for president.
And Vicky, are you willing to serve?
Yes, I am.
That's an important piece of information. Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? Then I think we're ready for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
No, do we have to do roll call for this? Stephanie, what's the deal? Can we just do a up and down?
You don't have to do roll call, no.
We're not spending money. We can just do up and down. Okay.
There's no salary?
We
took
are
it back,
spending
huh?
no money on this. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, Vicky, congratulations, and look forward to working with you over the next however many years it is, up to and including 3, I believe. All right, the next position is secretary, which is also the person that would step in if the president is not able to fulfill the role. And Georgiana, do you know how many years you've done this role?
Couple, 2,
You can do one more?
I could do another. Yes.
Okay. Are you willing to do another?
I am, yes.
Okay, then I will nominate Georgiana to continue in her role. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we've got Vicky as the president and Georgiana as the secretary / vice president. Thank you both for your service. And there are no more decision items. We've got the old business quarterly update on community health plan, pages 71 to 73. Does anybody want to make any comments about that? Yes.
So one of the things we need to work on before we do priorities for the next funding cycle is just like sort of a bit of community needs assessment. It's not required by statute for this board, but it's good practice. So this group is focused on the community health plan and the community health needs assessment, which we're fortunate that they get into behavioral health. They don't get very much into DD. So we've got a lot of people at the table advocating for DD in this group. And so that's a step in the right direction, but it means that we do have to continue doing our own needs assessment activities around what is desirable in this community for people with DD. But I like that, especially the behavioral health work group of this larger committee has a lot of people with expertise in DD and helping people who have DD and mental health issues. So that's just a huge step forward, I think. No results yet, but I just thought it would be nice to share the plan with you since it is a thing that we are spending time on and advocating within.
Thank you, Lynn. Any questions or comments from the board? All right, we are ready for successes and other agency information, and I am hoping that there will be some people wanting to step forward, either in person or on Zoom.
Hi there, I'm Becca Obachowski with Community Choices. Seems quiet. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on our new transportation program. So we have, as of yesterday, hired all of our drivers for that new program, which I think they're all going to be great. We are finishing up interviews for the coordinator position and hope to have somebody hired by Friday, but realistically probably Monday. So we're hoping to go live with that in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I thought I'd just let you know we're really excited about it and getting things in place.
Good morning. I'm actually Sarah Perry. She stepped out. This is actually, I know she was going to talk about this, but it affected employment as well. So we work with people through all stages of their life. And we had a person recently who wanted to retire. It was time for him to retire. One of the challenges was he was in a living situation that he really could not afford to do so. And so we were able to kind of work with him, reducing hours at work, while we looked for other living opportunities. And he recently moved into CU Independence, which was a huge change for him. He loves it, and he definitely loves retirement. So, again, it's not just while people are, younger and working, it's looking at how do we help people really retire like the rest of us do. So she probably would have shared more information, but that's all I knew.
Okay, shall we go to Zoom?
Yeah, no one's raised their hand. Mel is here and she usually gives an update.
Yeah. Anybody else in person?
I just wanted to say that I have felt strongly in the past few months about how we are so removed from what we're actually doing, the helping an individual person live, that hearing any stories about how we are actually helping somebody is great. So any stories that you can tell us, it really helps to move, well, to move me to, that we're doing something good up here.
All right, I'm going to move on to county board input, and I want to, which I did not do last time, recognize, is it Lee or Leah?
Leah.
Leah Taylor, and I want to thank you for sitting in on this meeting. You just sit there and listen and keep your eyes open, and I think you're a very valuable person to have in the room. So I want to thank you. Would you like to say a couple words about the county board?
Actually, yeah, I had something this month that I did want to kind of talk about real quick. And I'm not sure how many people here are like totally fully aware of the county board's allocation of the ARPA funding, the American Rescue Plan Act. We got $42 million over 2 years to spend in the community to fund different things. And we are about 17 months away from the last day that this money can be allocated. So I just wanted to kind of put out there like a little bug in everybody's ear that over the next 17 months, we're going to be getting some of this money kind of scraped back from projects that weren't able to use all of it or didn't end up doing what they were going to do. I would encourage any community organizations, agencies, partners, to just kind of start thinking, maybe having a little plan in your back pocket of smaller asks that you want to get done, that would help you, that would fall under kind of the umbrella of ARPA. It can be a lot of different things. It can be physical things, like a van, stuff like that. It can be administrative costs like funding and assessment, that sort of thing. And they're all kind of related to the community and how COVID and the pandemic and everything affected and showed up needs that we didn't know we needed, especially, there's a lot of that with the developmental disabilities and intellectual disabilities. That's really what I had, just to kind of we have 17 months before we have to have everything allocated. So the last day of 2024, it has to be spent, I think, in 2026, so they can be not super long term, but a little bit long term. But it's something to think about for everybody out there. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. We actually discussed ARPA earlier and weren't really involved or invited or given any money. What is the process at this point for people to make applications? Because this board has a very specific process. What is the process for this?
Well, the process is kind of, I don't want to say it's ad hoc, but it's it's not as definitive as yours at the beginning. Because it is federal money, it is very rigid as to what we can allocate it to. I'm pretty jet lagged right now. I just got back into the country last night, so I don't have this information in front of me or on the top of my head. But you could contact the county executive's office. You could email me and I could try to get, your request to where it needs to be.
Okay, I'm going to ask somebody on our staff, Lynn, or your delegation to reach out and make that information available if you haven't already done
To
that.
the agencies? To who?
To the agencies, I think, because
Sure.
this would not be going through this board.
Right.
So it would be agencies.
So I can do that right now. The county executive's contact information is on the county board website. It's almost the first page. It's really kind of easy to find the county executive. And then, yeah. So I'm so excited about what you just said. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. And welcome back. Okay, Champaign County Mental Health Board input, Lynn?
Well, the Mental Health Board is meeting this evening, and then they also have to decide about August 16th. And I really feel strongly that if we're going to do anything on the 16th, it should be a study session or a meeting, including both boards. And if it's a study session, then that virtual attendance is much easier. So we'll keep working on that. Kim and I had a lot of conversation yesterday. It's very short notice to put something together, but we put some ideas out there and we'll see what we can come up with. So that would help because of the need to do joint planning around the special initiatives project, but also in your fundamental priorities, the Mental Health Board funds some DD programming per the intergovernmental agreement and per statute. And so to have opportunities to work with you helps us to set appropriate priorities for them for their funding process. So it's all to the good if you can meet together tonight. They have the same memo that you do about the special initiatives. They also have the smart home presentation. They have, I'm going to get into it. I did all, the budgets that you approved last month. I submitted to the county, the deputy finance chair, county executive, and his staff met with me. No problems at all with what we submitted. It was perfect. It was the first time that's ever been perfect. And then on Monday, when I was here working with the IT folks to try to see how to do this without drama, well, that didn't work, but we got closer. The deputy finance chair stopped me in the hall and said, by the way, your revenue is going to be less than we projected. So I have now reworked all the budgets, which I'll bring back to y'all in September. There's nothing, we don't need to do anything about it quite yet. I need to get more input from them. Chris and I worked together on Monday to make some changes within categories that were more accurate to what the auditor's office is looking for from us. So it's a lot of details that I'll bring to both boards in September. But before that, the Mental Health Board has to make a funding decision tonight. So that's it's a program that they have valued and had good experiences with, but the program was not able to be fully eligible until this month. So it's a funding decision that they're going to make tonight. I think the rest of their business is very similar to this. And yeah, I don't mean to scare anybody about the budgets. We're going to be fine. I was able to create a balanced budget, which allows the DD board to meet all of its obligations. The Mental Health Board has a little bit less money than they wanted to have for this other program, and then another one that was late with their audit. So it was kind of sad news for them, but otherwise we're at that moment where we have to start planning for the next funding cycle, hopefully having discussions like the one we had this morning at the meeting, and then also one-on-one after the meeting would be very helpful for us. That's it.
Thank you, Lynn. And I just want to make sure I heard you correctly, both before the meeting and now, that even though there's less money than anticipated, we are going to be able to meet our obligations as we voted this year to the agencies and programs that we funded. So that's okay. And that seems to be a very good note to end this meeting on. Are there any board announcements? Okay, hearing none, I would say this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.